So, have you ever wondered if you are an empath? It's a buzzword. I mean, everyone's heard of being an empath at this point in the world. It was maybe something not as much talked about when I was growing up, so I didn't really know what an empath meant. I knew what having empathy for others was, but to really acknowledge like the energetic capacity to be an empath was something that I didn't know a lot about. And now as I've really worked with clients and I've worked on my own stuff, I've discovered the capacity that being an empath is, but I still, not until very recently, truly acknowledged myself as an empath. So are you an empath? Here are a few signs. They may be different than what you've heard. Just please always use your light and heavy when you're listening to this kind of information, because there's a lot of different points of view out there about empaths. So anything that's light for you is true for you. And anything that is heavy and contracted, there's a lie attached. Okay. So some of the signs of being an empath is where going out and being around a lot of people can feel very intensive, whether it's physically intensive, it can be mentally intensive, emotionally intensive, and you tend to try and like avoid crowds, avoid being around a lot of people. That is a sign that you could be an empath. Another sign that you could be an empath would be where people just feel better around you. They just feel like happier, lighter, easier, just being around you, even though you're not trying to do anything, you're not trying to cheer them up, you're trying not like actively looking at changing something for them, you're just kind of being you, and they just start to feel better. And the third sign is that you feel what other people feel. It could be physically, it could be energetically, it could be emotionally, it could be mentally. So let's say, for example, when I was a kid, my best friend, she used to have a lot of headaches, and we actually discovered this in a weird way. Like one day she had this headache and it was so bad, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I felt so bad for her, and I just kind of put my hands on her head and just kind of like had my forehead near her, and it was like I pulled her headache into my head. And she was like, oh my God, my headache just disappeared. And I was like, oh my God, I think I have your headache. And we would do that all the time. Like she would ask me and so once I practiced it for a little bit, I didn't even have to touch her. I could be across the room and I could just go and just pull it out of her head. Now, I was suffering her headaches for her. And that's not what has to be the path for all empaths. Okay. But this is just one of those signs. If you notice if someone has back problem and then their back stops hurting around you, but you start having back pain, and it could even be the next day. It's not always like that instant gratification of awareness. It could be like the next day or even 3 days later, suddenly you have back pain. You talk to that friend and they don't have any back pain. Okay. It could be that's physical, but it could be emotional too. It could be sadness, and where you actually pull the sadness out of someone, and then a few hours later or days later, you're feeling really sad and you don't know why. These are indications, these are signs that you have this phenomenal capacity of being an empath. Now, the journey of being an empath and the tools involved where you don't have to suffer them, that's like a whole nother universe that we can't really get to in this video. But I do want you to know that you don't have to suffer this capacity. This is actually a huge gift. It's a gift to be able to contribute to people in that way, to actually go, oh my gosh, like you have pain somewhere and you'd like to release it. I can help with that. I got you. But then I don't have to suffer. I don't have to have the headaches. I don't have to suffer the financial pain. I don't have to suffer the emotional and mental pain that people are going through. I don't have to suffer that anymore because I had to work at these tools. But number one is acknowledgement. So number one in everything is really getting present and aware and acknowledging, are you an empath? Now, you might not suffer in certain areas, you might not be suffering your capacity, but that doesn't mean you're not an empath. And always, always, always the biggest thing that you can do in any scenario is just ask a question. And you could just ask yourself, like, hey, am I an empath? If it's light for you, it's true. If it's contracted, it's heavy, right? That means that there's a lie attached if it's heavy. But those 3 signs are a great thing for you to kind of notice in your life, and it can give you more awareness of how you're functioning and the capacity that you have. Acknowledge that capacity. And I encourage you, when you're on your exploration of the world of being an empath, to keep that heavy and light, because there's a lot of information out there about the suffering of being an empath, that you need protection, that you need to essentially hide and protect yourself. That does not create the joy of being an empath in your life. So just as you're receiving that information, check in. Is this light? Does my body feel light about this information or not? I hope this video contributed to you. I think I'll be putting out more about empaths in future videos. And we're going to have some links below if you want to actually sign up to get some information about this particular incredible capacity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you know an empath, or you suspect that you got a friend that's empathic, would you please send this video to them? Because I get that this could really contribute. Thank you again. Enjoy.